Dustin, you brought up asking clients what their goals are and about their business. I like an example of this happens a good bit. We get clients that'll come in for remediation, so mold removal, water damage. Some will come in where they just do mold testing, and mold testing is like a $500 service. Maybe it's a little bit more, maybe it's up to $1,000, depends on what they're testing, but generally lower ticket. Those guys are competing on the same keywords that the mold removal and water damage companies are paying $20, $30, $40, $50 a click for. So it becomes really prohibitive for them to get a cheap enough lead cost, at least in our experience, a cheap enough lead cost for them to make an ROI on their service, because testing and remediation are two typically different services. Usually you can't test and remediate. Some states might be different, but I know in this particular person I'm talking about, they couldn't. So it just, you need to know that ahead of time, instead of just going with the assumption that it's mold removal and, you know, the cost per lead could be a little bit higher because the job size is higher. Like, that's just a simple business conversation you're having in the sales process to understand what they're doing, to understand their gross profit margins, to understand what they can do to how much they can acquire business at, you know, the cost of customer acquisition. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there as an example to what you were talking about, Dustin, because I think it's super important to have that context and understand that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think if you know your target, like I don't even gonna mention this person, it's totally crazy, but like if you know, hey, look, I can only pay because you've done this before or whatever. Like sometimes you don't know how much you can pay per lead because, you know, search leads are typically better quality than some other, I mean, not as good as referrals, but certainly better than maybe Facebook lead ads, right? Just on average, it's typically a lot better. I'm not saying Facebook lead ads are garbage. Some of them can be, but anyway. But if you know that, look, my average job is $3,000 and I need to make $1,000 in profit, then you know, okay, well, I know I can reverse engineer that back to what I either know or expect a conversion rate to be. And now I know how much traffic, how much I can pay per click. And if that number for that pay per click, that number is much lower than what you're going to see in the industry, then you're going to have to tell them, like, look, like this may not be a good fit, or it might be something where you get some leads, but you're not really able to compete at the level, pay enough for a good volume of leads, right? These are the conversations that you can have. And this is more, I mean, this is kind of like an audit, but I do this on the sales side if I can, because I want to set the right expectations of, is this going to work for you? I had one guy that wanted to do an audit, and I asked him what his target ROAS is, and he said he needed 100 to 1 ROAS. I'm like, dude,
So do I.
his brand probably isn't even getting 100 to 1 ROAS. You want that on cold traffic. And the average, I think the average ticket was like $200. So you want a $2 conversion out of Google Ads. Good luck.
That's a great question. What type of conversion cost are you looking for? Because that can pre-warn you of insanity.
Yeah. And sometimes they just don't know. I mean, great. Okay, fine. Like, hey, sometimes they're coming to me asking the question, hey, could this work? And I, you know, that's how I will be able to tell. But if you come at me with, could this work? And you've got no numbers for me, well, I'm going to look at my crystal ball and or my magic 8 ball, and whatever it says when I roll it over is what I'm going to tell you, because I don't know. It's going to be a gut feel. Like if you're a plumber, hey, I'm a plumber. You think I can get leads? Yeah, I'm sure we can get you leads. What's the cost going to be? Probably 100, maybe under 100 to $200, depending on what you're doing, what market you're in. We can pretty much tell that, you know. But like when it comes to like some random thing, or you're like, for example, Ed, you sent a lead our way for a tour guy that we started working with. He's got no search volume for what he offers. So originally I told him this, you know, if there's no search here, I'm going to have to start going with like ancillary secondary keywords that are something different, but we're going to try to flip them. That does not always play out well, right? Because you just don't know. Will you convert those people? And maybe you'll convert them this month, but next month, the people that clicked on that ad or saw the ad weren't that interested in your thing. So it's like a volatile thing. But these are the kind of things you know going in after you've done things enough time, and you can set those expectations where, at least if nothing else, like it's not a total blind side and you've sold this client something you can't perform. They kind of know the risk, they kind of know the game plan, and you can hopefully account for that. But without any information, we're not geniuses here. We're not mind readers, you know.
I think a lot of it comes down to being a business owner and having business acumen and understanding business and gross profit, and understanding that business is not top line revenue. It's not what you get, it's what you keep. So like understanding that these people are spending money to acquire business, and you need to have a rough idea of that number. When you've done it enough, you'll have a general sense within niches that you work in a lot. But if it's a niche you're not in, you kind of have to walk through that process to get a grasp of the numbers. And you know, as to the people watching this, if you're an agency owner or freelancer, kind of up your business skills and understand gross profit and understand how customer acquisition works so that you become a better freelancer, consultant, owner, and you can help your customers better and do some of that consultative sales approach, because Google Ads is not right for everybody. And you have to have enough context to understand when it's right for someone and when it's not. Like comes up frequently with real estate investors that we deal with, and they're what it's called an assignment fee. So when they're flipping their contracts, not actually flipping the house, but just selling off their contracts or signing their contracts, it's called an assignment fee. Their assignment fee is $5,000, $7,000. I know Google Ads probably not right for them because that's a little bit too small. It might be if they're doing a very big volume, but if it's one market and it's you know, a $3K a month budget, I'm not real bullish on being able to get enough leads to get enough deal flow to get them an ROI with that kind of an assignment fee. So having that context is super important as you're growing, because it's going to help your customers do better. And knowing when to say no is just as important when to, you know, as when to say yes is.